Hello everyone, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Kalis Mahendra and how are you guys? I hope you are doing awesome. So in this video, I want to discuss about the three novels. Why three? Because those are interconnected. As you can see at the title of this video, yes, we gonna to discuss the Lord of the Rings. Maybe the most of you have seen the film or maybe read the novel. Both of them are already very popular and the novel is also available in 38 languages. So before that, first we discuss about the background of the novel and its author. Who knows the author? Anyone knows? Yes, you're right. The author is J.R.R. Tolkien, and this novel was published in 3 volumes in 1954 and 1955. Each volume consists of 2 books, and the first volume is the title is The Fellowship of the Rings, and then the second volume is The Two Towers, and then the third volume is The Returns of the King. This story was written from 1937 to 1949 and became one of the most popular literary works in 20th centuries and was translated into 38 languages, like I said. And then The Lord of the Ring has been filmed 3 times. The first as the animation film by Ralph Bakshi in 1978, and the second in 1980 as the television show, and the third work in the trilogy of the film. The title is The Lord of the Rings in 2001, 2002, and 2003, and directed by Peter Jackson. Won several academic awards and renew public interest in this trilogy and Tolkien's other works. The trilogy of the legendary of this novel recalled that the novel has been so famous and legendary. With the series of award and coronation has the best fiction novel. And then awards skyrocket after the novel was filmed in the 2000. Tolkien decided in the retire in 1959. So this is, we talk about J.R.R. Tolkien, and in his old age he began to get public attention and fame. Even 1961, Lewis nominated him for the Nobel Prize in Literature. The 3 novels are interrelated and provide extraordinary stories. The reader will be broke the atmosphere of the novel. This novel is still interesting, I think, even though it has been read rapidly and does not make us bored. In the novel we are taken, and then in the novel we are taken to the world full of the struggles between God and evil, because usually evil must always be stronger than God. Is this fantasy stories, And readers of this novel will surely like the struggle of, the hobbit like Frodo, Samwise and his colleagues to defeat evil, because story will be very broad and surpass expectation when the Sauron, the evil and his followers, and they won. And then in my experience, if you like fantasy stories like Harry Potter, first time I reading this novel, at that time I really like Harry Potter. I assumed that the storytelling style would be more or less same as Harry Potter style, and I was wrong. The Lord of the Rings novel, I think this novel with a very complete description of background detail, much more detailed than Harry Potter. Maybe for those of you who want to read about the Scufflers, you will be a little disappointed because the book has a long-winded impression. But that's where the advantage imagination comes to life with complete description of the author. And then the story goes from book 1 to book 3. That's why the name is trilogy. And it's turned out in these books you will find a world that is more than the world that understand in film, because it turns out there are characters who are deliberately omitted. Also, storyline that based on the film, in fact, quite important in the book. Now we talk about escapism. Escapism does not necessarily deserve the criticism it has received. I found this in journal that they discuss about escapism in this novel. In an essay written by Tolkien, he openly admits that escape is one of the main functions of fairy stories, and since I don't disapprove of them, it is plain that I don't accept that the tone of the scorn or pity with which escape is now so often used. Since the Lord of the Rings is a fairy stories, as Tolkien put it. We see that Tolkien is openly admitting that his work contains escapism. Not only does he acknowledge its presence, but refers to it as one of the main functions of his work. He also acknowledged the scorn or pity is often attributed to escapism, but shroud of the criticism as unrelated. He doesn't appear to believe that escape itself belittles the story in any way. In fact, he argues that it is an essential part of fantasy or fairy stories. This becomes very important as we look at Tolkien's work in his work The Lord of the Rings, and the fact that he considers escapism to be an essential part of the story means that we can look critically at he makes escapism doing it. And then now we talk about hero. Of course, many hero. If even here are Hobbit, Hobbit and the witch, the creators, and that have to destroy the ring and to save the world. There are still many other even heroism. If what do you think about heroism in this novel? If you know, please comment below. And then we talk about this is the identic one, the power choice word. Why this is the most identic? Because this is unique because the choice of the word or language in this novel is long-winded or sometimes difficult to understand for those who have not read. But instead, the difficult word or language becomes strength or make this novel much more lively. And there are many quotes about friendship, war, spirit, sacrifice, and courage. And then we talk about the characterization. The characterization in this novel, I think, is unique. Many characters here far more unique than in the film, because in the film there are characters that are deliberately not included, but in my opinion the character add to the story more alive, not as scary as this film. And then what do you think is the unique character in this novel? Or maybe some of you have the character is influential. Please mention in the comment below. If my unique character, I think, is Hobbit. There is unique character that, and the Hobbit is hero because this character is origin of all the stories or novel from J.R.R. Tolkien. So here I can conclude that indeed the Lord of the Rings is a very epic fantasy work. There is an extraordinary fantasy world. The story makes us like we enter into the fantasy world. Even though the language is too high or too difficult to understand, that's what makes it more alive. So what do you think about this novel, about the Lord of the Rings? Good, perfect stories? Mention in comment below. Thank you. I think that's all from me. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.